Hey guys, welcome to another Pencil Stash video. Today, I think it would be fun to play with my old colored pencils. No joke, I found my old colored pencils from high school. These were my favorite set of all time. I don't even remember where I got them. I have no idea how many there were. I know this isn't all of them. I know that like some of them kind of went by the wayside. They either broke or they got lost or something. But they are from a company called Spectracolor, which I believe has been purchased by another brand and kind of absorbed into their collection. But I remember loving these. I remember these being like super buttery and like super smooth, and some of them are so tiny that they are kind of barely there. But anyway, I thought that it would be really fun to maybe try these out on a coloring page. There certainly aren't enough of them to do just these on a coloring page. So I think I'm just gonna kind of supplement and try to use as many of these as I can, and then I'll supplement with my other colored pencils. But I think it'd be fun to try these out and see if they're as good as I remember. And just for reference, these are maybe 25 years old, no joke. They're still in really good shape, really good condition. I'm gonna sharpen them up and we'll see what we wanna color with them. So let's get started. All right, so I have sharpened them to the best of my ability. Some cooperated better than others. I'm looking at you, purple. And I'm just making a little bit of a color chart for myself, just because I'd like to know exactly what colors they're actually going to produce on paper. So I just kind of lined up them in rainbow order, and I really am liking these kind of warm autumnal colors. They're very buttery. They're kind of just like I remember. So let's take these vintage babies and see what we can do on a coloring page. So I think I am going to try out a page from the Worlds Within Worlds, the new Kerby Rosanes book that I did the flip through of last week. And I really think this page might be kind of the perfect little test for our Spectracolor colored pencils. Now, I did kind of still want to stay within that very autumny kind of reds and oranges and browns. So I think that our kind of fall apple core and leaves will be just perfect for utilizing these pencils to really show kind of, you know, what they can still do. So let's try out this page. All right, so I am going to be using the majority of my Spectracolor pencils, but I'm going to supplement with my other ones. But I'm going to try to use as many of these as we can. So I think to just kind of stay very light to begin with, I'm going to start with this salmon color. And I'm just going to kind of put this around some of the areas that I want to stay super light. Maybe kind of where the light's hitting. Yeah, these feel super buttery, super soft. I love these. I have to look up what company bought this Spectracolor. I want to say it's Prismacolor, but I could totally be wrong. But I think somebody told me once that that they were actually acquired by, you know, somebody, and that it's part of their enterprise now. But yeah, these are still super nice. I really like the color pigmentation. They're super saturated. Like they feel super expensive, and believe me, these were not expensive. I was in high school, like, you know, I was not spending money on colored pencils. I think these might have even been part of maybe like a larger set. I don't even know. Like, I feel like it was like colored pencils and something else that I just kind of picked up from somewhere. God, I wish I could remember. But you know, these certainly were not expensive colored pencils, but they certainly feel like it. Like, if you compare these to like maybe how the Crayolas feel, or, you know, maybe some of the other like student grade pencils feel, these feel very buttery, very pigmented. So very nice to kind of see that these not only stood up to being 25 years old, but also kind of stood up to, you know, being a very inexpensive pencil. They feel very nice. Let's see. I've been dying to use this one, this Carmine Red. It's so pretty. I remember this one definitely being one of my favorites. Isn't that funny how you like remember weird things from high school? Like I don't remember much, but I remember that Carmine Red was one of my favorite colored pencils. And it's funny that I kept them all these years. You know, I mean, it's certainly not something that I've used particularly since then. I mean, you know, these literally may have seen the light of day, you know, that long ago. I don't know that I've used them since, but after many moves, many, you know, spring cleanouts, you know, I've always kept these. You know, even after I got many other, you know, sets of colored pencils and, you know, certainly investment, you know, colored pencils, I've always kept these. And you know, it's probably just a little bit of nostalgia or something, but I've always really liked these. Something told me to keep them. And I have to say these are blending and kind of feathering together very nicely. I should look up if I can find like a set of these on eBay or something. That would be hysterical. I don't remember how many came in the set. I don't remember it being like a ton of them. Like maybe it was, you know, 24 or maybe a little bit more than that. Maybe it was a 36. But you know, there were at least a few different options in each kind of color grouping. And these are the ones that have survived. Not too bad. Although, I no longer have a purple. It was not meant to be. Alright, I'm going to go in and I'm just going to sort of supplement with a little bit of this bronze yellow. This is one of my favorite Crayolas, and I really like adding just a little bit of green to an apple. Now, there isn't kind of a green that I kind of want to use here. These are a little bit too bright green, and I definitely want a little bit more of like an earthy green. It's playing very nicely with my Crayola. If you actually look at an apple is all sorts of colors. It's not just red, you know, it's not just, you know, green for a Granny Smith. There's so many colors that really kind of go into it. Even if you can't tell that the color is there, it's always kind of an undertone or, you know, a little bit of like a hint, you know, underneath another color. So it's always good to experiment a little bit and add a little bit of color variation in here. Yeah, let's do this red. This is 1403. This one is teensy tiny. I apparently really liked this one as well. And I'm just going to sort of concentrate this around some of the areas where it would be in shadow. Sorry about the background noise. Another thing, you see how these lines are kind of going in a certain direction? I'm sort of trying to mimic that with my lines so that we're not really going against the grain here. It is hard to hold a short pencil. All right, now I kind of want to use this terracotta color, 1417. It's very brown, but it's also got a lot of red in it. So I think I want to maybe add this in just a little bit in some of these areas where I just kind of want to add a little bit of dimension and maybe some shadow. Do you ever know, like, that it's instinctually the right thing to do, but you don't know why it's the right thing to do? Like, sometimes I find it hard to articulate, like, why I'm choosing a certain color or why I'm choosing to color a certain area, you know, the way that I do. It's hard. You know, something about it is just like, yeah, this is gonna look good. And it can be as simple as that. But yeah, sometimes it's hard to know why you do things the way that you do. You just know that you want to do it that way. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't, and that's okay. You know what's interesting? I was looking through some of the comments the other day, and I was reading a comment by someone. If I can find it, I'll put it up on the screen here. But I was reading a comment from somebody, and she was saying that she is afraid to color in her nice coloring books because she's afraid of messing them up. You know, she's kind of new to coloring and she's just terrified to color in her books. And I felt so saddened by that. You know, half the fun of coloring is coloring in your nice books and, you know, getting the benefit of, you know, some of these really cool pages and this, you know, subject matter and whatnot. But, you know, to be that terrified, you know, that you're gonna kind of screw something up, it just made me sad. So if you're listening, or anybody else who, you know, maybe kind of feels that that same thing sometimes. I just encourage you like not to worry about it, you know? I mean, this is a hobby. This is meant to be fun. You know, your books don't have to be absolute perfection, you know, on every single page. Mine certainly aren't. I've shown you guys my mess ups, my pages that I haven't finished, or, you know, ones that I'm not quite, you know, really very happy with. I still share them, and I think there's a lot of benefits that you gain out of just doing it. And, you know, you learn from your mistakes way more than you do, you know, the ones that come out really, really well. So, you know, don't be afraid to get your nice coloring books, you know, full of different experiments, and, you know, really, really just embrace it. And if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, you can always color the next page over. It doesn't really matter. You know, but definitely don't let it hold you back. All right, I kind of want to maybe pull out a different red here. I'm gonna maybe use Scarlet Lake. I just want a little bit more of like a true red than I'm getting from my colored pencils. My old colored pencils. And I'm just kind of going in and I'm just trying to fill some of these like white space areas. You know, these are fantastic, you know, but there are a little bit of these kind of white speckles, you know, just a little bit of open area that didn't quite get colored. So I find that if you go over just a little bit with kind of, you know, one of the more medium tones that you have, and you just kind of go in maybe a different direction, you kind of fill in some of that white space here, and then you don't have to blend so much later. And it just adds yet another interesting color into the mix. All right, one more color. Let's do like a Kelly green. I just want a little bit more green in some places. I also really like shading red with green. It's opposite on the color wheel, and you can get just some really nice, interesting combos here. All right. Now I don't have a purple, and I kind of want to shade a little bit more with a purple. So I'm going to go into the bin, and I think I'm going to use this black cherry, just because this will have a little bit of red in it. And I'm just going to go over some of my super dark area, or like areas that I want to be super dark. I'm just going to go over those a little bit. And I'm using very light pressure here. I don't want it to be kind of jarringly shaded. You know, if you guys have trouble with that, hold your pencil up a little bit higher on the shaft, and it'll be harder for you to press down so hard. That has always helped me from being a bit too heavy-handed. I feel like I just colored an apple a couple of weeks ago in a video. I didn't think about that. I do like apples though. Oh, and actually, I'm going apple picking this weekend. That's kind of funny. September is the perfect time to apple pick. I always think it's October, but usually the apples are all done by then. September is the perfect time. So I'm actually going with my family over the weekend. And of course you're spending like 40 bucks to pick, you know, $10 worth of apples, but totally worth it. It's really fun. I always say I'm going to bring them home and like bake a pie, and I never do. I usually just eat them because they're so good. All right, I am liking how this is looking. And then I'm just kind of thinking what I want to blend this with. I've been liking my Prismacolor blender pencil again recently. I gave it up for a little while, and I was just kind of using cotton swabs and a little bit more kind of gentle blending methods, but I've been really liking it again. And I'm just going back in, and I'm starting from the darker areas. And normally I use kind of circular strokes with this, but again, because of these striations, I'm going to try to go with the grain and just kind of follow those lines. And just sort of push and pull some of the pigment in the direction, because it'll actually come out on the paper, and you can kind of see the movement of where I'm pushing and pulling some of this pigment, and I want it to kind of match those striation lines. So I'm going to try to stay relatively with those. I'm very happy with the way that these Spectracolor pencils are blending. They blend just like my Prismacolors. Do you guys hear that cricket? I've had a cricket in my office for at least a week and a half, and every time I find a cricket, I, you know, get rid of him. And then 20 minutes later, I hear another cricket. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So God only knows how many there actually are in my office, but it's not cool. Very whimsical, you know, it definitely doesn't look like an apple, but, you know, maybe that's okay. Maybe we're not going for an apple. Maybe we're going for a very Kerby Rosanes kind of whimsical apple. So while I'm doing this, I'm just going to go ahead and ask you guys, if you are enjoying my content, I would really appreciate a thumbs up on the video. It helps other people find my channel. YouTube does a super secret, top secret algorithm to where the more people that like the video and, you know, share the video, the more that it'll recommend to new people to check it out. So it actually helps the channel a ton. So I really would appreciate it if you guys are just kind of watching right now and are enjoying it. I would appreciate a thumbs up and definitely a subscribe if you're new and enjoying the content. We'd love to have you back for the next one. And if you know anybody else that likes to color, share my channel. You know, we have gone through phases of varying frequency of videos, but now that the summer is kind of coming to an end, I'll definitely be kind of getting back to a regular schedule here. I'm going to try to do every week. It's tough. I'm not going to lie. You know, I have a full-time job and family and all that stuff, and coloring takes a while. You know, we've been working for, you know, a good while here, and I've only done this little bit on a page. So, you know, it's definitely one of those things that you kind of have to work into your schedule, and I really like it, so I'm definitely going to continue doing it. But yeah, I definitely appreciate your patience and that so many of you have stuck around for so long. You guys are awesome. Just going back in and just kind of filling in some of these areas that just kind of didn't get a little bit of love. You can go back in after you blend. With pencil, it's not going to act quite the same. It's almost like having like a little bit of like a veneer over your coloring, but you know, you certainly can. Oh my God, there's so many leaves. Send help. All right, I was about to use my Spectracolor dark brown, and I tried to put it in my pencil sharpener and it wouldn't do anything. So I was like, okay, something's wrong. And I'm like, maybe the tip is loose. Look, I would certainly say that the tip is loose. I don't know if there's any way to save this. I think this one might go the way of my purple. I mean, I could probably try to use it like this, but I can't sharpen it. So, I don't know. I don't know. I think this one might be lost too. Lost to 25 years of time. Oh well. All right, so I've colored the branches and I really just kind of wanted them to pop. Like everything is super, I don't know, just like crisp, and there's a lot of contrast in the apples and in the leaves. So I kind of wanted to do something similar on the branches. So I just colored them with kind of two super light, like a really light, like sandalwood kind of browns. And then I went over the lines that the artist gave us in a very dark brown with a very sharp tip. So I'm very glad that I have my pencil sharpener. And so now everything that the artist gave us is colored. Well, you know what? I'm lying. I have to go in and do the little hidden object things. But now I have to do a background, and I'm not quite sure what I want to do yet. So I might kind of have to think on it for a minute. Like I'm tempted to do like a blue sky kind of a thing, just because it's obviously a tree, you know, like in the background there might be a blue sky, but I don't know. I'm kind of thinking that I don't want to do that. And I kind of want to use my pencils from school. And again, I'm really kind of drawn to the oranges in this range. So I'm kind of tempted to do like an orange background. I think that might kind of help to make it look a bit more autumnal too. So also, I really kind of like how buttery these oranges are in particular. The oranges are very buttery. So I might do that. I just don't want the apples to get lost. That's my only concern. But I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards kind of leaning towards the orange. I think that's the kind of fun play. I think I'm gonna do orange. And I really like this salmon color. This one kind of looks peach on the pencil, but here it's kind of like a very nice orange. I'm probably gonna do the majority in this, and then I'll maybe kind of supplement with a little bit of these. The only thing is I always do just like a flat color background. And I feel like it's kind of a cop-out. Like I should challenge myself to do something a little bit different, but I don't know what. I don't know. This is hard. And here we are with our one coat of salmon. And now I'm just gonna go over it with this orange color. And I'm just gonna sort of fill in some of these areas that are still just a little bit like taken up with these like white spaces. The second sort of coat is just gonna sort of fill in all of those spots. Like if you've ever painted a wall, you know that first coat, it's not perfect. You definitely need a second one. And I definitely like doing that with coloring. And I find that, you can totally use the same color, to do two coats. I kind of like to do two different colors just because I personally like the look of it. I think it adds a little bit of dimension, there's a little bit of, I don't know, just something unexpected, to where, this color twice is completely different than this color and this color. I don't know, it's just my style. I like it. All right, I think I'm good, but I want it a little bit smoother. So I'm actually gonna use just a little bit of Gamsol. And I know I do this wrong. Everybody tell me down in the comments how wrong I'm doing this. But this is how I like to use it. I like to take like either like a paper towel, or I've got just some Kleenex here. And I like to do just a little dip with a Q-tip. Teensy tiny dip. And then I almost completely brush it off. And then I just rub, and it just helps to smooth out any additional white space. And I don't know if it's just the age of my colored pencils. I mean, they're totally fine, but I just wasn't getting the really smooth background that I wanted. So I just thought, let's use just a teensy bit of Gamsol to see if we can kind of get the look that we want. And you really, really do want to rub the excess off before you put it down on your paper, otherwise it's way too wet. It shows through on the other side, it just gets really, really oily, and that is not what we are going for. All right, I think we finally have it. The Gamsol worked really, really well. Everything is just kind of nice and vibrant. I think this really made a difference. I'm glad that I did that. It was a little bit flat before. It was a little bit lifeless. It wasn't really standing out, and there wasn't a whole lot of contrast. And this definitely sealed the deal. So I like it. So let me know down in the comments. Would you do orange? Would you have done blue? Would you have done a completely different color? What kind of approach would you have taken on this background? I'm pretty happy with how it came out. I love the contrast. These leaves nearly killed me. They were absolutely the most tedious thing ever, but they're actually my favorite part of the page. I really, really like them. And it was fun. I really like how they stand out. This is definitely, I think, a really good sign of how awesome this book is going to be. You know, if this is any indication, if all of the pages have kind of this, whimsical style, I think I'm in for a real treat. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you liked this video, do me a favor, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. If you're new and want to get more exciting coloring content, go ahead and hit the subscribe button as well, and the notification bell if you want to be notified when I've uploaded a new video, which I'm telling you, now that it's getting a little bit chilly out, I'm going to be doing on a very regular basis. So thanks so much for joining me today. I appreciate it. Let me know down in the comments again if you enjoyed the page, if you would have done orange or blue, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!